the piece of the process that is being conducted overseas?
Well, the obvious benefit is we don't have to have our own plant and startup money and being able to be in the business and be able to have the blanks accessible to us. So it's really a cost factor is a benefit, but also it's on top of that, I guess I don't know if there's anything much more to it than cost factor and availability. We've looked at other places, but when it comes down to price per square foot and readily available and willing to work with our engineering firm, that is what's gravitated us toward this company, Menu, in China.
Yeah, there was about 3 or 4 years ago, I found a company that can build a machine, the exact same machine that Tecton uses to make their panels. But the estimated cost for that was $14 million.
Wow.
And we someday when we're cranking out $14 million a year in sales, then that's on the list. But we're certainly not there yet.
Okay. All right. So let's maybe talk. Well, let me just say, anybody have any questions, or Kim, do you have anything that you want to add before we talk about the relationship with doTERRA?
No. I'm assuming that you guys answered all the other questions before I got on. No, I don't. I'm good.
Okay. So here in your outline, Mark, you said partnered with an American consulting engineering logistics company. What are your thoughts about sharing the name? I mean, you guys mention them frequently by name with us, but can you tell us a little bit about how much credit you want to give to them, or how much visibility you want to give to that partnership?
Well, that's one of my concerns or questions. Is I guess I don't know if we need to put their actual name out there, but I think it's I think the important part of that piece is that they're American consulting company here in Columbus, Ohio, that has boots on the ground in China, making sure the product is done to our specifications. If you put doTERRA on there, then they can obviously go to their website. doTERRA's got a link to Cardinal Acoustics, and they have links all over I don't know if that's a bad thing or not, because I do name all some of the companies that they work with. They work with Procter & Gamble and Genair and Burt's Bees, Oster and Georgia Pacific. So I don't know if that's a bad thing or not.
Yeah, good question.
I was going to backtrack real quick, because I'm saying this makes me think when you talk about who is our audience and who is this for. Unless Mark disagrees, I don't think when this is made, this is something that we're going to be blasting out on LinkedIn or our website, because 70% of our customers don't care. It's almost like don't ask, don't tell. Like they don't really give a shit about it. But so I don't want to open the door for more problems. I feel like this is something that really only be utilized when we get confronted with the issue.
Yeah, that's I agree. That's the intent of this. This isn't really a marketing piece per se. It's an internal marketing piece.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yep, it does. And I think then that it doesn't create any issue to name doTERRA, or you know what I mean, like not that anyone's going to really go nitpicking about it, but especially when you have like the manufacturers that they've represented, Procter & Gamble, Genair, Burt's Bees, I think that's links towards credibility, right? Like, or hints at credibility on their part. So
I see that now. That we're keeping this inside, and it's an internal kind of message to everybody that there's no harm in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Cool. Manufacturing. I'm just looking through some of these things here. Product finding.
So my other concern was, or one of my other talking points is I guess my question, I don't know how we address it, is, why we get singled out when in any given project there's probably numerous products that are imported from overseas, including China and other countries in Asia, and European countries. And how do you address it? Say, we're not the only ones. That kind of thing.
I think that's a great point, and I think it's about normalizing it. I don't think it's good to kind of say, well, it's not just us. You know what I mean? I think that we can take a higher road in this case.
Yeah, I don't want to say that either. It's not just us. Everybody else is doing it.
But yeah, we'll make sure that we kind of address that in a mature and diplomatic fashion. We can put our heads together on some ways that, say, hey, this is pretty common. Lots of well-respected quality manufacturers follow this exact same process. So we can find ways to say that.
Including our show.
We won't say that.
Perfect.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, we do have your, the cardinal difference that we can also just make sure is, mentioned if and when these issues or concerns come up. So, Cardinal Acoustics employs 25 people in Columbus and Springfield, Ohio. Trying to think, is there anything else that we can say about that? Is there any other kind of family or
right.
perks of being a family-owned business and staying local?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, is there an intimacy?
Yeah, you're family-owned. We are family-owned, obviously. We've been in business for 4 years. We employ people locally in Ohio. And we've got reps across the country and independent sales, and on the independent sales rep side, we work with hundreds of distributors across the United States, and working up from that standpoint.
I don't know if this ties into the manufacturing side of things, but I mean, we've got so many test reports, whether it be acoustical or fire or VOCs, like environmental testing, declaration certifications that were all done by United States labs, like the highest accredited labs within the United States.
Yeah, and I think that is a critical piece that shows that we're just not flying off the rack and shipping out bad panels.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. We are designated fabricated, manufactured in the USA. We already talked about that. Any thoughts on what we want to call this, or how we want to, I've loosely been calling it the manufacturing talking points here, but and Kim, I'd love to hear your ideas if you have any on the phone now. Otherwise, we'll pick each other's brains about it later. But any ideas on how we can position this group of ideas or talking points?
Where all do you need to use it? Did you guys already talk about that?
Yeah. So they're only going to mainly be sharing it internally with reps and who then work between them and the architectural community. But
it seems to happen when there's the largest jobs out there, the 60,000 square foot jobs, and then our competition gets in the ear of the architect and says, you don't want to do that, then they're a Chinese company. The architect then goes to our rep comes back to us and says, what do we do here, guys? So if we had something that we could get back to our rep and say, send this off to the architect. It tells them what our story is, and then it puts the architect at ease.
Yeah. And again, it's the quality behind the product that we are actually engineering it, and we do all the testing here. It's again, we're just not buying off the rack.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the cardinal manufacturing process.
Yeah, we'll come up with something, but that seems right though. Like something, obviously it's going to be a little bit more attractive than that, but that's what we're talking about here is the manufacturing process.
Right.
Okay. All right. I think that's enough, at least for us to get started on that.
Great.
I'm trying to think. What questions do you guys have from us? Mark, do you have anything?
No, we covered an awful lot. I'm sure you'll have more questions as you start diving into it, and we can just touch base at any point.
I also think it might be helpful. I don't know, like if we could get a, if I reached out to Billman and have him explain us what their full process is. What do they do here? What do they do there? And what is their work for us?
And that's not a bad idea because they have to battle with their manufacturers that are going through the same process. Well, how do they combat that? What story do they tell from the origins of the product?
Mike Billman is the I think Senior Vice President of Sales for DTerra, who kind of runs our account. And he talked about how their business got hurt with their other companies that they supply. Really, it seems like in the last 4 years when Trump went on the tirade against China, and so they've had to combat it as well. And I'm sure I could get insight from him too on how they combat it with their other manufacturers.
Yeah, if you want to, you can. That's fine. And it share with us what you hear back from them. It might be insightful to have. I guess one more question in terms of I think we want to keep this digestible, right? So we can deliver something that's maybe an internal and then like a high level points. That's kind of how I'm thinking this would look like, something that you guys can sort of commit to memory internally and then something that you can deliver to the client. Does that sound like like a two-piecer would work for you guys? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, I think we have everything we need. And like you said, if you hear back from your contact at DTerra and they have, something that we didn't talk about, by all means, please share that because that would be helpful. But we can go ahead and get started and get a draft to you guys here shortly.